This is Mike from Veriato. Happy to be here with you today, and I have a couple of my colleagues here with me as well that I'll be introducing in just a few minutes. As we jump into this, into the Veriato 360 and IT Time Machine, by way of an agenda, we're going to very quickly, cover just, who we are here at Veriato and what our customers use us for, and then we're going to jump right into taking a look at the software in a demo and talking about some of the ways that folks are using it to go back in time. And then we'll close with just one more closing thought and take some Q&A. So with that said, who are we? Well, first of all, we're a new name, but we're a company that's been around for a while. So we were formerly known as Spectrasoft. We rebranded the company back in March. We did it because we've made a lot of changes to our business, and we wanted to clearly signal out to the market that we were a new company. But it's the same company, same products, same management team, same great team of folks that are driving us forward. A little bit more about us. We focus in two spaces mainly, user behavior analytics, which we're not going to talk about today, and then user activity monitoring or user activity logging, which we are going to talk about today. We've been at this for quite some time. We've got thousands of customers around the world. You can see that we're deployed in more than 110 countries. I think the actual number is up to about 114. We're backed by some very respected private equity firms, and our headquarters is down here in Florida. We actually have two offices down here in Florida, about 80 miles apart. So that's a quick about us. What we help our customers do. There are three main areas that people come to us for help in. And you're seeing them up here on the screen. Insider threat detection is where that user behavior analytics comes into play. And then on the right side of the screen, you'll see productivity monitoring. And that's kind of where the company started out, and it was helping folks understand how work was getting done within the organization. What we're going to spend our time on today is this centerpiece here that's labeled incident response and investigations. And within that, there are a couple of different ways that people use us. One is for a forensic investigation capability. I need to go recreate something that happened, and we're very widely used for that. And a lot of times that'll be related to kind of that classic meaning of the word investigation. So there's a suspicion somebody might have been acting not in the best interest of the organization, and our software is used to help confirm or deny that suspicion. But we also get widely used in a troubleshooting context as well. And I think everybody that's involved in IT at any level knows that the biggest variable and the hardest thing to deal with are the people. And I used to work with a guy that said if we just didn't have any end users, everything would work all the time. And a lot of times, folks are challenged with that. I just can't recreate what happened, or I just need to know. I see something weird, and I can't put my finger on what it was. And our software, because it focuses on people actions, can really help clear away a lot of that gray and add a little bit of clarity to what folks are looking at. And it really provides the ability to go back and be in the moment when something occurred, when the thing that I always access in this particular way, and now I can't access it that way, and it's your fault, Mr. IT guy. You can actually go back and see that maybe you're not actually at fault. Maybe they're just doing it wrong. So at the end of the day, what the software is designed to do is provide answers, and that's what we're very proud of our ability to do. So that is the very brief introduction. I know that not a whole lot of you came on here to hear me speak today, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce a couple of my colleagues here. I'm starting with a man sitting next to me, David Green, who's our Chief Security Officer, but he's also in charge of all of our support functions, and he spends a lot of time talking to our customers. And Dave and then Steve Voorhees, who's one of our senior engineers and a CISSP, are going to walk you through the solution and some of the ways people use it. So Dave, take it away.
Hi there. First up is the Veriato 360. Consists of two major UI components, a dashboard and control center. Steve's going to turn presenters over to him now and prepare for the demo. And the dashboard dramatically cuts the amount of time spent in figuring out what happened. This leads you to easily find out what's going on with your people. It allows you to see exactly what a user did for troubleshooting purposes. And also, there's no need to put everything on hold for an investigation, as events can be found in minutes instead of hours in traditional methods. Also, snapshots can provide an absolute proof of an event. And with that, Steve will do a demo.
Thank you, David. All right, I am displaying my screen. The tool that I have displayed is one of a few that is included in the dashboard called the User Explorer. It allows you to quickly drill into a particular employee's entire data set. Now, along the top here are the event types that our data collector can record based off of what you set it to do. And all these settings are configurable, so you can turn on and off what you don't want to record. So I'm going to run through these kind of at a very high level, and I'm going to give you a scenario on how we can kind of look at what a user's doing. And after I'm done with this User Explorer, I'm going to go into a more higher level view of how the software would work. So starting here with websites visited, we are able to capture every website that a user goes to, even if they find a way around your filtering rules, such as maybe a proxy or a translator. But we also utilize 3 unique time metrics that separates us from the rest. It's active time, focus time, and total time. Your active time, that's keyboard mouse activity. So that's the user interacting with the website, tapping, scrolling, clicking, and so on. Focus time is when they're clicked into that particular tab, it's in focus, so focus time will continue to calculate unless they click into another tab. Then the focus time would instantly pause until they click back into it, and it instantly resumes from where it left off. And then total time is from the time they open that website to the time they close it. All right. Now on the left side here, we're looking at Mick Everhard, and at a very high level, we're seeing what websites this person has been visiting. And just a couple stand out to me here, like basesystems.jobs, CareerBuilder, dice.com, and indeed.com. Perhaps this employee is looking for a job. So we click on, let's say, CareerBuilder, and the events will load for just CareerBuilder and filter out everything else. Now these columns are all customizable, so you can add and remove what you don't want. So what I have is I want to know the start date and time that it took place, on what computer this user was logged into. This column is extremely important if the user can log into multiple machines or remote desktop into a terminal server, a Citrix server. We can record the activity there too. So you're going to want to know exactly where they're at. Then what application was used? In this case, it's IE, but it could have been Firefox or Safari or Chrome. Then we break down the active, focus, and total time per line item, so we can pinpoint just how long they might have been interacting with a portion of the website. Maybe it's a Facebook or a LinkedIn post that they're working on. And then the hyperlink to it, if you were to click on it, would actually bring you to the website. And then a Windows caption, so a high-level overview. Now, if you're trying to use firewall logs to determine just how long your users are really active, it may give you a false sense. It may say that this user may have been on for 4 hours when, in reality, it may have only been in focus for 48 seconds and they may have been active in 48 seconds. But it gives a bigger picture too. We give you the ability to see what was displayed on their screens. So clicking the view snapshot for that particular line item brings us to this moment in time. Easiest way to think of these is like a CCTV camera. We're all used to walking into a bank and getting recorded. Kind of the same thing here, but we're recording what's displayed on the user's monitors up to 8 at once. In the upper left is your DVR style remote where you can rewind, fast forward, and even play, slow it down, speed it up. Now, as we can see, he was on CareerBuilder, definitely typed in Marketing Director, but what caused him to do that? So I can retrace his steps. And I'm just clicking back a couple times here. And these snapshots are configurable. By default, they're every 30 seconds, but for high-risk employees, maybe you're taking them every 5 seconds. Now, looking at the Skype chat that we're actually recording in the background too, it looks like that they're disgruntled a little bit and are talking about quitting. So now I would want to go in to possibly their emails to see what is the situation here. Why do they want to quit? Why are they looking for jobs? So we go over here to email, and we capture now all your internal email going through Exchange or Lotus Notes, but we can also capture webmail, and that's a really important one, especially for data exfiltration. It's easy to blind carbon copy a sensitive document out on the outside, but hard for you to detect on the inside. So you're going to get the recorded date and time again, what computer this user was logged into in the application. So we can see it was Outlook 2010 here. This is the attachment column, so any attachments that may have been sent or received. The from name, the email thread, so who did this go to, whether it's one email address or 1,000 would show up here. The subject line, the carbon copy, and then the BCC would show here. Below is the body of the email. So if you read this from Mick to Bill, who was in HR, is doing a follow-up on an interview for a marketing position that he applied for. And up here is Bill's reply that we have decided to use someone else on the outside that has more experience at the director level. So of course now he's disgruntled, and that's why we're seeing him look for jobs in websites visited. Now over here in Chat and IM, we can record internal chat applications like Microsoft Link, Office Communicator, Skype, but also web-based chatting. So if the user was to log into Google Hangouts or even Facebook and chat back and forth, we can record that. Both sides, even if the user deletes the history of it, we still have it stored in our SQL database. Now this was a Skype chat, and this is exactly what we're seeing in those snapshots earlier. That's Nick's side, and there's Joe's side. Now program activity will allow us to record every application installed on a target machine, whether it's the user's local box or again a server that you may be monitoring. We can look at a couple ways of judging how our users are interacting with the business applications. Are they using them to the fullest extent? Are they having troubles with them? Because with those snapshots you can rewind and fast forward and even export those out maybe in a training video. But it gives us a good understanding because just like with websites visited, we get the active, focus, and total time. So are they actively using business applications more often than unapproved, or are they using the unapproved more actively than the business apps, so wasting time? It's also great for help desk to try to troubleshoot applications that may be having some issues. Kind of give you a broad level of that. Over here on the left, on this particular day, these are the applications that the user was interacting with. So I see Task Manager and I see uTorrent here. That one right there is not good. So I want to look at Task Manager, and then I want to go over here and I want to look at the snapshots. So from here, I can see where they brought it up, and if I rewind just back a couple slides here, you can see where they're downloading a torrent. So possibly this torrent had malware in it, and maybe the AV detected it, causing the web browser to crash, thus them trying to end the task. Okay, online searches. We have the ability to look at everything they search for. What browser they're using, so there's IE, Chrome here. What search engine are they using? More popular is going to be, of course, Google, but there are some other obscure ones out there. Search phrase, what are they exactly typing and searching for? We'll show it to you. The domain, and then hyperlinks, and then the Windows caption. So we capture every search that there is done by your users. Now this one, Keystrokes types, a full-blown keylogger. This one is great if you're concerned with privileged users, maybe contractors and vendors that have access or remote access into your servers providing maintenance for you. Maybe you're a software design company, maybe you have SQL DBAs that are typing code, and perhaps one of those DBAs mistakenly typed some code that broke the database. But with this keylogger, we capture every key on the keyboard, including the non-printables, such as backspace, delete key, arrow key, tab key, all of them. So you could actually go back and retrace that DBA's SQL statements that he's typing and try to resolve the error from there. It's also good to see malicious intent. If a user was to take a document and maybe halfway delete over and type something completely different to modify that document and then save it and then send it out, again, the keystroke logger will see it all. So let's look at this one I have highlighted. This is that email that we were looking at earlier. This is what it looks like in formatted, so pretty much the end result. Over here in raw, now we see the non-printable keys. So for instance, right shift key was pressed here, the letter I, space bar, interview, space, or, and so on. And here's a backspace where they pressed it 2 times to delete over BO. If I highlight this, view snapshots, there's the email. I can press play. I can slow it down and actually watch them type it out. Files transferred. This would be anything that could be uploaded or downloaded through FTP, HTTP, or HTTPS protocols. So if a user logs into Gmail or an FTP site and uploads or downloads any information, we're going to show you whether it was an up or down for the action, the IP address, what protocol was used, and the domain, and more importantly is the file that was uploaded or downloaded. Network activity is very interesting, especially if you're concerned with bandwidth consumption. And let's look at maybe a remote site with limited bandwidth. The network activity will be able to show you what users as well as what applications are consuming the most internet bandwidth. So going back to that, remote location, maybe they only have a couple meg pipe, and you're concerned with individuals streaming audio or video there. Well, you're going to be able to see the start date and time, what computer, and then I could also add the user column here to see who is my top offender. What executable is running on that machine. So maybe it's an FTP server running somewhere, a rogue application you're not aware of. What's the remote IP address it's talking to? On what port? The host, the domain. How many total connections it had established to the outside? For instance, this is a Dropbox client. It had 4 connections. It was connected for 8 hours and 47 minutes. Then I have total bytes sent and received. So instantly you can determine who's consuming your internet bandwidth or any of those rogue applications out there. Now, document tracking is essentially probably one of the most important features here with data leakage or data movement. Where's our files going to? We can look at devices such as cloud storage, network, USB, burning to a CD or DVD, or even printing. That's a big one nowadays everyone's forgetting about. It's easy to print out a list and walk it out of the building. So we can look at that. As far as the actions, it's create, rename, delete, edit. So maybe for deletion, an employee put in 2 weeks notice and goes to their network drive, and 5 years worth of data they've been working on, they delete. And maybe you don't have a backup of it, but you still need to know it was deleted. We can show you. These actions right here are a lot of edits. On the network drive P, that's the device. Here's an edit on cloud Dropbox, and here's some printed documents. The one I have highlighted is actual printed document to a network printer. If it's locally attached, we see that too. And this is a Verco 5-year marketing plan. So we know he's looking for a new marketing job. He got turned down for one, and now it's printing out documents that he has access to. And I can click on these snapshots. There it is. If I go back one slide, there's where he's printing it. All right, last thing I want to talk about is keyword alerts. Within our data collector, you can configure keywords. Pretty much anything you want to put in. And you can look in multiple sources, such as keystrokes typed, emails, chats, documents, even web page content. One of the ones that we put in there was Dropbox, Google Drive, and I hate this job. And the reason why we're showing this is because in that chat earlier, they were talking about Dropbox and then Google, and then how to get those documents out before they get fired, which is right there. So you would have received this email alert in your real time, then you could have come to the dashboard here and seen it, and actually then click on the snapshots here and export that video. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. Last thing I want to talk about is the user explorer or the user status. It's essentially more detailed log on when your users log into the machine, when they're logged in and active, and how long they were active for. So for instance, if I was to come in at 8:30, do 15 minutes worth of email, lock my desktop, go to an hour-and-a-half meeting, that recorder is now showing me logged in but inactive. Then if I was to come back after that meeting and then log in, now I'm logged in and active. But it's also great for department managers to see if users are coming in earlier than normal, leaving later than normal. If you're concerned with vendors logging into your servers off hours, you'd be able to see that too. And we do have a nice graph, and that's going to lead me over to another area of the dashboard. Before I go over there, David, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, you're doing great. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So in addition to the User Explorer, the dashboard includes over 100 customizable quick view panels that allow you to quickly learn all of your employees' activities from a 10,000-foot overview. For example, think of how much effort it would require you to determine who's actually sending what to removable media. Here in minutes, we can determine that using it and what docs are leaving your network, and how we do that is based off of how your touch point in the upper left here. So if you're concerned with data leakage or anything related to security, this might be your panel you go to. So transferring files and removable media, cloud storage, users sending out the most attachments, maybe the users printing the most. I mentioned they're customizable, and we've done that here. So we've created an investigation panel looking at Tara and Frank. Those are the two under investigation. And then we built the charts for areas of concern, such as document tracking by device. And this is looking at cloud, USB, and network. Over here are sent and received, and this is called a stack chart. So we can break down the sent versus the received emails. Below are the top keywords that we've created for this particular investigation. So we want to get an alert when they're triggered. I'm going here to document tracking by device. We have Tara and Frank. Knowing Tara's job function, we would know whether or not she should have this much data. And the reason why we're doing an investigation is we feel that there's some collusion going on between these two and probably fraudulent activity. So I'm going to go to her USB and I'm going to drill into it to see exactly what type of activity we have. On the E drive, she had a total of 32 events. She created 32. No edits, deletions, renames, or prints. Again, date and time, what computer, the action, because this is document tracking, that would be the create, rename, delete, edit. The drive letter. Maybe I want to add now the device type, removable, or that would be DVD or CD. The document path, and more importantly, these are the documents that were copied to that USB. At any time, I can highlight it, view snapshots. Brings me to that moment in time, and now we're seeing exactly what she was seeing. Here in the upper left, I want to rewind just a couple screens back, because in the P drive, she's inside the finance folder that she has access to. She's making a copy of a Project Athena folder. Over on the right is our USB. Here's where she's pasting it, and now I'm going to press play and slow it down a little bit. Here's a Skype chat. Again, we're recording that. And there's some keywords I'm already seeing here that raise red flags. Could cost thousands jail time. I would definitely want to go a little bit longer to see what else they did. Here's where they ejected the USB drive. Just keep everything off the books. That's definitely fraudulent. And a little bit more, clear your chat history. So they're evidently trying to cover their tracks. And if I was to proceed, we could watch them actually do it right there. This would be something we would want to save out of the dashboard for our HR legal team. And to do that, we have a perfect tool. It's the show info, which is going to watermark the screen with the domain, the user's Active Directory name, what machine they were logged into, again, if they have access to different boxes, and the date and time. Then save, and we give you the option to save the current image that's displayed here in the background, all images, or selected range. The selected range is normally from a start to an end of a questionable activity. However, it could be a training video. You could save it as a JPEG or a bitmap. That way, if you need to import this management solution or include it in some type of report, you have still images. Or you can compile it as an AVI video. And now you can just hand this video over to HR. And this is watermarked in both the still images and the video. Now we saw a lot of cloud storage too, so I can go right to the same window and go to cloud. And now we have Dropbox and Google Drive. Look here, it's a lot of the same documents. The reason for that is they were trying to exfiltrate data in multiple facets. In case they got caught with that USB drive, they already had it out in the cloud where they can easily share it with anyone they choose. And they actually did that. If I was to go through a little bit more of it, I could show it. But I want to be considerate of everyone's time here. Now let's move on to her emails. So I want to follow, what has she emailed out? So I mentioned that we record every email. She was on two different machines here, Verco 6 and Verco 5. All right. This is the attachment column. We have 4 attachments. Click the envelope. We can see that these attachments were sent from Frank to her. So let's open one, acquisition strategy. You can see we made a copy of that attachment. That is an option you can turn on. You get the from name, every one part of that email, the subject line, and here's a blind carbon copy for you. Below the body of the email, I want to take this keyword, Solace Energy. And I'm going to show you our next very powerful tool called the search. This will allow you to scout through any of the data stored in the SQL database. and literally pull a needle out of the haystack for you. You can narrow your focus with this global criteria. You could also narrow it down to specific computers or a group of computers, and then down to specific users or a group. And I'm looking at Frank and Tara's data only. Searching for solid synergy, and you can string together combinations with this. Then I pick my sources. I want to know email, but not everything related to an email. I want to look in the contents, and I want to look at attachment names. I do want to see everything related to document tracking. I want to know if it was discussed in the chat, and I want to know if they actually typed it on their keyboard. Search. Now, once we find it, we highlight it for you. And if there's multiple instances, we'll highlight all of them. Who the user was, it was Tara. The activity, document tracking, and found it in the document name there. Found it in keystrokes here. Email contents, attachment name, and chat contents. Now notice this is Tara's side. That was the snapshots we were looking at earlier. But she was also chatting with Frank, who was right below her. Now right from here, you could right-click and go directly to Frank's side of the conversation, and we can pick up from where he was typing to her. So that's what I'm going to do. And now we see Frank's side. I'm going to press play here, and the email that he sent to Tara with the 4 attachments, there it is. Let me type it out. She then takes this email and forwards it on to someone on the outside. So that is the power of the 360 dashboard. Now what I'm going to do is just jump over to the control center real quick and show you the data collector. I've already kind of covered it in the user explorer, but this is our data collector. They're based off of what we call recording profiles. The easiest way to think of them is group policies. So essentially you can have one to record your Macs, one for your Windows, and build as many needed as you want. So perhaps for maybe accounting here, you're not recording their chats, their emails, or their keystrokes. So you turn those features off for that profile and then apply it to those groups of computers. That's as simple as it is. And once the recorders are deployed, they're checking in every few minutes when they're on their network. And if you make any adjustments to this, it pulls down the setting without you having to redeploy. You can also set up your keyword alerts here. Again, these are the ones that you receive in near real time. You put in your keyword like confidential, select your source, and if that keyword is picked up, it's almost like tripping an alarm. The software will detect that it was picked up, let's say, in the email, automatically reduce the snapshot frequency. So now it's going to take it every 5 for a span of 60 or whatever you set it to. So if you want to get more detailed, you can maybe increase that to 120 or 190 seconds. That gives you more visibility in what triggered the alert, and does include details. So over here is where I'd set it to 15 to 0. And let's say confidential was picked up in an email. That would be our keyword, date and time it occurred, who the user was, what application they were in, what computer they were logged into, and the content. Now that kind of sums it up for the control center and what I wanted to show you at a very high level. So what I'd like to do is turn it over now back to David and Mike, unless there's something else.
Thanks, Steve. That was perfect.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. And this is Mike again. And hopefully that gave everybody a pretty good idea of the ability to see exactly what happened at a specific point in time or across points in time. And while we certainly didn't go through every potential type of data and type of event that you could look at, hopefully that was illustrative enough for you to start to conceive of the power of being able to go back and see exactly what the human factor was contributing to the circumstance that you're looking at. And I wanted to, we said at the outset in the agenda that we'd touch on one more thing at the end of that, and I wanted to do that here because it's related. There are times when we need to go back in time and see exactly what someone did. And one of them I wanted to talk on because it's something that as I'm out speaking with customers and at different events, I don't see enough people doing as a matter of practice. So since we just spent some time having a technical discussion and looking at some technology, I'm going to take it out of that world for a minute, and I'm going to ask everyone to imagine that you're having a party. You've decided to throw a party. You're going to have that party in your house, right? And it's a pretty nice house. You've worked hard, and you've built yourself up a nice house. And so you're going to have a bunch of people over into your house. Because I was a philosophy major and not a math major, I like to use small round numbers, so we're going to say there's 10 people coming to your party. So they're going to be coming inside your house. And inside your house you have stuff. You have some pretty nice stuff. You have grandma's silverware. You might have some old baseball cards lying around. That's a Honus Wagner rookie card. Maybe even have the family jewels. And you'd like to hold on to that stuff. Well, if you were to find out that of the 10 people coming to your party, 6 of them take something with them when they leave a party, I think you'd have a reaction to that. And you'd probably cancel the party before it started if you could, but in this case, our party has already begun. So you need to try to figure out what you're going to do to prevent these 6 folks from walking out with souvenirs. And so I submit that what you would do is keep a closer eye on the folks with the keys in their hands. And that's what our software can enable you to do. It's to take a look at the actions of people that are on their way out of the organization. Because there is so much badness that happens when you're dealing with departing employees. And to tie this back in now to what we're talking about, what percentage of employees who have left an organization say they've taken sensitive information with them? I kind of telegraphed the answer to this with my nice round numbers. This very recent survey data shows 59% of folks admit to taking stuff with them that they shouldn't have, which is just a shocking number. Now, you may be sitting there and saying, Mike, 64% of all the worst statistics are made up there on the spot, and a whole mess of people are going to believe them whether they're accurate or not, because you're familiar with the work of the great Todd Snyder. He's an Austin-based musician if you want to check him out. But we don't have to look at stats and surveys to see that this is a real problem. If you look at some of the things that have been going on in the news lately, take Jawbone, the wearable company. They are in a court fight with Fitbit right now, and Jawbone alleges that Fitbit conducted, I love this phrase, systematic plundering of their confidential information. And when I read that for the first time, I got this visual of like a pirate ship with a project manager on it. But they, in their allegations, they claim that Fitbit tried to hire almost 1/3 of their staff, some of whom they succeeded, that those people took critical trade secrets with them. They go so far as to, again, everything's alleged, document one employee who stayed on for a week at Jawbone after being hired to work at Fitbit and took a whole bunch of stuff. Fitbit, of course, vigorously disputes this, but the fact is this fight is going on, right, and it's going to sort itself out in the courts. A while back, Lyft, their former COO, their now former COO, transferred a whole bunch of sensitive company information, product plans, financials, forecasts, growth data to Dropbox, and then he walked out and he went across town, and I don't know how he got there, but he went across town and joined Uber, which is their fiercest competitor. Chesapeake Energy, their former CEO took a whole bunch of highly sensitive trade secret information and actually started a company to compete with Chesapeake Energy. So you can see that this happens in big companies, small companies. It happens for very senior people and from normal folks. This is one of my the most interesting ones that I'll talk about. So Seagate and Western Digital had it out in court, and Seagate had claimed that a director left and went to work at Western Digital and took trade secrets with him around technology to improve storage capacity, and that Western Digital used that to create a competing product. The court system agreed with Seagate and awarded them that as recovery, and now there's been some delays and some interest piled on, and I've seen numbers of $630 million and even up to $800 million that they're eventually going to recover. But the fact is they were able to demonstrate that this happened with the departing employee taking stuff with them. And when you can do that, you have an opportunity to protect your company, and hopefully you do that while the employee is still with you, and you can dissuade them from actually taking the information. And there's a whole bunch of steps that you can take to do that. But should you ever need to, you can also go out and protect the company through the legal system if you have clear, compelling information about what happened. Again, this doesn't just happen with big companies. That's my brother-in-law, not exactly, but he didn't want me to use his real picture. He had a 4-person company, and he had someone resign and take his entire customer list and go across town, and he found out about it because his customers were loyal to him, but it could have really hurt him. So the reason I go through those stories and those examples is because it is a best practice and not one that I made up or we made up, but this comes from the experts at Carnegie Mellon and their insider threat focused expertise that recommends, as one of 19 best practices for combating insider threats, that you review the activity of departing employees during the 30 days prior to termination or the 30 days before they give notice of resignation if those dates aren't the same. And we built Recon and a lot of Recon, which is one of our products, for this purpose. It records all the information that Steve just showed you, and it's all viewable in the way that Steve just showed you, but it just keeps it and it stores it for 30 days. So, I wanted to kind of leave you with that as another reason why you might need to go back in time while the clock is ticking. And you find out that someone's leaving the organization and you want to take steps to protect it, you need to be able to go back and say, let me get a good handle on everything that this person did. And having a system of record that puts that information in one console that you can go through it without a whole lot of gray area can be very beneficial in that time frame. So I believe that is all of the material that we wanted to cover. We wanted to keep this brief. We're certainly available to take questions. I believe you're able to post them online. And if you send in some questions, we will do our best to answer them. I want to take the time now to thank everybody for joining us. We'll look forward to speaking again at some point, and hopefully you can attend some of our other events or catch us out at some of the trade shows we'll be at. Thanks, everyone. Let's go take a look and see if we have any questions coming in. So far, none, so I think that means Steve did an exceptional job. All right, well, we're going to wrap up here then. We don't have any questions coming in, so again, I want to thank everybody for their time, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and we'll look forward to speaking again soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.